This meeting is being recorded. This meeting is being recorded.
Is it recording? Okay, so hello, welcome everyone to the webinar Media Content Preparation, which is part of the Blindness and Media Engagement workshop series. The session is very kindly facilitated by one of our team members, Dr. Ibrahim Emara. Ibrahim is an associate professor of journalism at the Faculty of Arts at Tanta University in Egypt. He is the first visually impaired person in Egypt to teach and do research in journalism. His research focuses on the use of mass media among people with visual impairments, and he teaches media theories, journalism, history, newspaper layout, newspaper editing, and media translation. He's also an activist in defending the rights of people with disabilities, aiming to achieve equality, inclusion, and accessibility. The session will cover how to write a news story, search for online information, fact-checking, conducting interviews, do investigative journalism, and general article writing. So without further ado, I will hand over to Ibrahim.
Hello, everybody. I am happy to be with you today to talk about media and journalism. First of all, let me thank Kathleen for organizing this session.
This meeting is
And
being
also
recorded.
thanking all of you who come today to not learn, but share your experience in media and journalism. First of all, we will talk about how to write a news story. Before starting, we would start with exercise, if you like. Who is interested in writing a news story? Because we asked you if you can bring something or a tool to write with us today. Who is interested to write with us today?
Hold the audio now unmuted.
So anyone interested in writing news stories today?
Yes, I'm up for it. And there may be logistical difficulties because I'm using my PC, but I'll try. Yes, I'm happy to. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's fine. Yeah, I can tell you a little bit what is the exercise is. I will give you some keywords, and I will give you like 4 or 5 minutes to write a rough story, and we can give you the opportunity to read it out loud to the group to hear the story. Okay?
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Yeah.
The audio now
I will give you some keywords. The first one, council, decision, residence, complaints, statement, spokesman, service, funding, public, deadline, concern, improvement, interview. Should I read them out loud again?
Yes, please.
And could you read them slower? Because I can't write that quickly, I'm afraid.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm so sorry about that. I'm so sorry. So, council, decision, residence, complaint, statement, spokesman, service, funding, public, deadline, concern, improvement, interview. So you can use some of these keywords, you can add to them to write a news story. You can write a headline and a lead.
I've put the keywords in the chat as well if anyone would like to have them there.
Would it be accessible for you to use the chat?
Yes, oh, sorry.
Go on, carry on.
Sorry, I was just going to ask, I'm okay with using the chat. I just wanted to ask, Ibrahim, what's a lead? Is that like a short story under the headline?
Yes, yes. And we will talk more about this.
Cool. All right then. All right, thanks.
You're welcome.
All the audio now.
So I'm a bit confused. Do you want us to make up a story? Do you want to do a quick Google search and come up with a story based on those themes?
Yes, yes, it is.
No,
You can write
which?
the
Because
story.
it's one or the other. Is it meant to be a real story, or is it something? Isn't it? What's the purpose of the exercise? Is it to say how to tell a story, or is it a research project?
You can mark the story. It's not an actual story, you know?
Oh, so you can make it up. You make up the story.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
You can make it up, but based on anything that concerns you in terms of issues, social issues, political issues in the UK.
Yeah.
So it doesn't have to be all made up. It can be based on facts, but if you don't want to use any facts, you can make it up completely.
Yes. Sure. Okay.
Star on type. Decision. Residents come.
We will give you 5 minutes, and after 5 minutes, we will start listening to you.
Video, nothing. Double tap to open. Calendar, photos.
I will ask Kathleen to count the time.
Yes, I'm counting, so I will let people know when the 5 minutes are up. No problem. Maybe just to mention that you don't have to use all the keywords. You can use just a few of them. So there's no pressure to use all of them. Is it right, Ibrahim?
Yes, and you can add to them.
Yes.
Kathleen, would that be possible if you could quickly just repeat the words for me?
Yes, of course. Council, decision,
Yeah.
residents,
Yeah.
complaints,
Yeah.
funding,
Handing.
Funding.
Oh,
Like
funding. Okay, yeah, okay, yeah.
funding. Sorry, it's my bad Austrian
No,
accent.
that's fine.
Service.
Yeah.
Public.
Yeah.
Deadline.
Yeah.
Concern.
Yeah.
Improvement.
Yeah.
Interview.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So we have 1 more minute to go. Okay, so 5 minutes are up, and don't worry if it's not finished. You can just read your drafts. It's all an exercise, so no worries whatsoever.
Yeah. Can you, Kathleen, choose 2 examples from the audience? And for other people, they can send you their writings and we can read them after the workshop, and we can give them some feedback.
Yes, so people can email me what you've written, and we'll look at it together with Ibrahim and give you feedback. And for now, it would be great to have maybe 1 or 2 volunteers who would like to read them out, and Ibrahim gives feedback.
I don't mind volunteering.
Yes, thank you, Hina.
No worries. Can you hear me okay? Can everyone hear
Yes,
me?
very clearly.
Yes.
Okay, great. Yeah, very interesting exercise. So I'm currently with a union called the London Renters Union because I'm facing housing issues. So my piece is based on that. So the headline is called "The London Renters Union Listens to Residents' Complaints," and the lead or the short story, this is what I wrote. The London Renters Union, established in London during COVID, is a member-led union which tackles the current violent housing system by listening to renters' concerns, complaints, and housing issues. It is a strong community-based union with over 8,000 members. That's all I wrote.
That's fine. Can you read the headline again, please?
Of course. So it is the London Renters Union listens to renters' complaints.
Yeah. This is one tip that your headline is fine, but needs more clarification. So
Okay. Right.
the reader needs to know more about this. So you can't give them puzzles or a vague information. So your headline should be very clear. Who will come next?
I'm happy to go next. I was quite amused because mine's of a similar line, but mine's a bit shorter. I put residents' complaints, improve funding. That's the title. And then, due to prolonged concerns of local residents regarding complaints towards lack of funding for accessibility, the local council has made a decision to trial funding for Access Forum to access areas to improve within locality.
Can you read the headline again, please?
The headline, Residents' complaints improve funding.
Again, also this headline is somewhat vague. So the reader usually is seeking a clear headline because, as the experts are saying, that the readers don't have time to read even the lead or the details of the news story. So they want to know everything from the headline. I want to thank all people who volunteered today, and also I will ask other people to send us their draft to give them feedback after the workshop. So for the headline, we say it's important to write the headline to be clear, accurate, and direct. It's usually you don't have to add opinion on the headline. So you don't have to say these complaints are important or so bad or something like that. You have to use language that is accurate and not subject. You have to be objective in your writing. After the headline comes the lead, and you have to write strong lead where you answer the 5 W's: who, what, where, when, and why. These are the main elements in your news story. Think about these components. Someone would ask me, should I include all of them in my news story? The answer is no. It's not important to add all of them, but you should mention the most important elements in your news story. You have to think about your reader. So someone would write the story in a way that's different from another. Why? What's the reason? Your audience. Think about your audience. So if you are writing this blog to target visually impaired people, you will use a structure that's completely different if you are using this for advocacy. For example, if you are like talking to the government officials or something like that. So the first step is to think about your target audience. You have to spend time to study and know your audience well. Again, we will give you some tips in writing the lead. First of all, you have to keep your lead brief and direct. So you don't have to go to the details in your lead or your introduction. The lead, the thing that comes after the headline. Use the or include the hook. The hook in the lead means the thing that attracts your audience, which is the most important detail in your news story. Use the inverted pyramid. The inverted pyramid structure in journalism, in news story, that you have to start with the most important information. And when you go further and further, you include the less important information. Why? Again, as I mentioned to you, the reader nowadays doesn't have the time to read the whole story. You don't have to like attract them or to make them surprised or to make them like, wait, oh, I will keep the most important information at the end of the story. No, this kind of like in literature, but in journalism, we have to give them the information directly and quickly. Think also about sticking to the facts, and it's important to build your story in facts or accurate informations. So when you are preparing your story, you have to double check and verify that all information are accurate. And in journalism, some people think about who is publishing this first. Like I have to write this story to be the first one to talk about it. No, because when you are writing this story quickly, hastily, you might publish some inaccurate information. So I will give you some tips about fact checking. You have to use some tools. For example, I choose some resources from the UK. There is a charity called Full Fact. Full Fact, and it is based in UK. And this is a charity organization specialized in providing people with accurate information. Also, BBC has one called BBC Reality Check. Reuters has one called Reuters Fact Check. And there are a lot of organizations that help people to verify information. Also, I would recommend you or advise you to use official UK government websites. And also you use public data sources. For example, the Office for National Statistics in the UK. There's also something called Gov UK and also Parliament UK. And those resources are very important to collect your information from. There are some electronic tools, and they are friendly to the screen reader. For example, a tool called Wayback Machine, and Google has one called Google Fact Check Explorer. Also, you can use the search engines like Google with some search operators like the quotes and all of these operators that can help you to verify some information. Does someone has any question here?
I've posted some of the addresses in the chat. So for Full Fact, BBC Verify, and the statistical agency from gov.uk are in the chat now.
Thank you so much. So some other tips for writing your story. Be clear and concise. So you have to use short paragraphs and sentences. You don't have to use long ones. Avoid jargons. Avoid technical words unless your audience expects that. So again, you have to know your audience if you are talking to the public. So you have to use simple words and terms. But if you are talking to experts people in your field, you can use some jargons like the social model of disability or medical model of disability. If you are writing your blog to target the public, they don't know this. But if you are talking to experts in disability field, they are familiar with these kind of terms or jargons. If you have to use these jargons, you have to offer definitions to people in your news story or your blog. Usually, you have to use the active voice, and it's preferable than the passive, because we in journalism prefer to be accurate and to tell the reader the source for this information. So you have to use natural language. So you don't have to use emotional words. Again, you have to be objective, not subjective. Use person-first language, and it's better when you are discussing something related to disability. I know that's like a difference between the US and the UK in terms of if they are preferring first a person first or disability first, but it's better to use person first.
Sorry, Ibrahim, can you briefly explain what first person first or disability first means?
Yeah, person first, you acknowledge that this person is human. So you say people with disabilities or people with visual impairment, and so and so. The other one, the disability first, the disability comes first. So you say blind people or visually impaired people. Back to the tips, you might use quotes in your news story to support your story. And these quotes usually come from reliable sources. So you don't have to say like, we knew that, or I heard about this. No, that's not professional. You have to attribute this to an accurate source. Also, you have to follow style guides. So there are a lot of standard style guides on the internet. You can read one of them and stick to one, because this will allow you to give your blog or your journal a style, and you give them impression that you are professional in your work. At the end of your news story, you can add the context and the background. So if you are talking about the funding cuts, like the story that we have, you might add the background at the end of your news story for those who are not familiar with this. So it's important to give them some context and background. And at the end, you have to do some editing and proofreading to make sure that your story is well established and would be very effective. Last thing that I will talk about today in terms of news story, I will talk about news values. Why news values are important? Because this is these are the criteria that you are using to determine if this story is important or not. Because somebody will say why you are focusing on this topic and why you neglect this topic. This is based on news values. These values are important for you to decide if you will cover this or not, you know, because, you know, we have a lot of topics, and you might be confused. If is this would this be important to my audience or not? The news values are important. For example, immediacy. So the news should be immediate, related to a fresh topic, or current topic. Also, the one of the values is proximity. So proximity means that this topic is relevant to my audience or not. For example, if you are based in London, maybe you will not cover something about disabled people in Birmingham or Bournemouth or whatever. So this will allow you to choose what to cover. Also, the impacts. So does it affect many people or affect few people? Also, sometimes conflict. So does this story has something about conflict or discussions between different parties or not? So there are a lot of news values, also novelty or originality. So your story should be original to attract a lot of people to read about. Human interest is another news values, especially in the news stories that are emotional or seek to affect people. This is our this is what I wanted to share with you about news stories today. Does anyone have a question before we move to interviews?
Hina has a question. Hina?
Yes, thank you for explaining that. That was really interesting. My question was about active voice and passive voice. Could you give an example of like one of each? Because I'm just struggling to understand that one, please. And
Yeah,
also, sorry, you also mentioned style guides with blogs. Can you just explain a bit more about that? Different types
for
of
sure.
style.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So for the first one about the active voice, this allows you to give the reader the source of your news. So
Okay.
a parliament member told me that this and this and this,
Mm-hmm.
or the spokesman announced this and this and this.
Mm-hmm.
But for the passive, you say I learned this and this and this.
Oh, okay.
So it's vague. So, and this will make you lose the trust of your audience,
Mm.
because they know that just like you are giving them some rumors, some vague information that is not accurate. So building your trust is a skill, and you have to be mindful about this and try to build your trust, because now we are living in the new media era, where if you will not offer accurate information, I will go to another one. So it's important to build this.
Can I give another? Apologies, Ibrahim. I'm thinking about documentary films as well. And can I give another example of passive and active voice? So, for example, if you are saying politicians drive expensive cars, that's the active voice. So you put the emphasis on the politicians, and most likely this is what you want to do, because it's about them wasting tax money, if that's what you want to say. The passive voice would be expensive cars are driven by politicians.
Good.
So can you see how the passive voice would dilute your message and weaken it because you don't put politicians first?
Interesting. All right, cool. Thank you. That's
For the
that's great.
second one, you have asked me about the style. As I
Mhm.
mentioned to you, all news paper organizations or media organizations have their style, and the style tells you, or style book in particular, the style book gives you an idea how to write this, how to talk about people with disabilities, if you like, how
Mhm.
to frame this, what is allowed, what is not allowed, in terms
Mhm.
of like writing this, like when you are, like, for example, covering what's going on in Palestine, for example,
Mhm.
you know, how to write about the prime minister in the UK, you know,
Oh, I see. Okay.
you know,
Yeah.
and this is very important. Um, I see. I know, like it. You are not like a journalist. You don't have to be, but you might read a lot of these and
Mhm.
make your own style book. This is my idea or my thought here, because your style book or that will affect your style of writing will give you to shape your personality. So
Mhm.
I don't have to read the name of the writer or the person who is writing this to tell you that this is by Catlin, for example. But
Mhm.
I'm reading this, so I know who is behind it. Does it make sense?
Yes, thank you.
Sure.
Thanks.
So, does anyone have any another questions?
Hold the audio now on mute.
What's the point you're getting about writing styles? I didn't confuse a point you make about you don't need to. Point you said about Catherine, is it you? Because I mean, as far as I certainly with news styles, they said it's just a fact. You don't want to. You don't want to have a distinctive style. It's just it's very basic and part of your fact. Would that be correct?
Yeah, that's right. That's
Mm.
right. Yeah, thank you for sharing this.
Shall we move to interviews because we are running out of time?
Yeah, yeah. So, in terms of conducting interviews, we have another exercise. We need two of you to do interview. One would be the interviewer, and one would be the interviewee. And we can decide the topic, Katlin.
Sure. Shall we get two volunteers who interview each other and we can decide a topic together? It's really just an exercise. Don't worry about fact checking or anything like that.
I could do it.
Yeah. Would you like to be the interviewer or interviewee?
Interviewer, please.
So, okay, so you are the interviewer, and who would like to be the interviewee, the person being asked the questions? Anyone?
Hold the audio now.
Well, okay, I can do it, I guess.
Good. Are you volunteering? Thank you.
Okay.
So we have two volunteers, Ibrahim.
Yeah. Do you want to decide the topic?
So Shumia, do you want to decide what kind of questions you want to ask Stephen?
What do you want me to ask you about, Stephen?
I really don't know what I mean. What was a particular subject you were wanting to? I'm quite open about that, really. I guess.
Maybe it
Yeah.
might be easier to interview you about you and like
Sure.
your
Yay.
personal life.
That's fine. That's
Is
fine. No,
that-
no problem. No, that sounds a good. That sounds a good primer.
Okay, so hello, hello, Stuart.
Stephen.
Oh, sorry.
It's okay. Don't worry.
Hello. That's bad.
That's not a good start. Don't worry about it. It's fine. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So hello. So hello, Stephen. Can you tell me a bit about yourself?
Sure. Well, I'm in my 50s now. As I said, I actually have a journalism degree, but that was from about 20 years ago. I'm currently looking for work. I do in my leisure time, I do bits and bobs of freelance journalism from time to time, and said I'm looking for an admin job. I do stand-up comedy in my leisure time, and I'm currently working on a play. And I think that's a fair amount to go on for now, don't you think? Yeah.
I think so. Could you tell me a bit more about this play? How did you go about starting to work on it?
Sure. Well, I don't
Where
want
is
to
your
say a lot about it at this stage because I'm still working on it. I'm still finishing it. But I wanted to do, because I have OCD as well as being blind. And so I wanted to come up with I wanted to come, I wanted to come up, I wanted to write a family-friendly show about OCD, if you see what I mean. And I struggled for a long time with what you probably know about the archetypal story. The famous book on that is called A Hero of a Thousand Faces, which is about the archetypal heroic journey. And it suddenly struck me that actually, when it comes to people with OCD, which is an anxiety condition, the heroic journey might actually be quite banal, if you see what I mean, something for someone else. And once I'd come to that realization, I could write this piece, which, as I said, because my background is journalism, but also stand-up comedy. It is quite funny a lot of the time, but there's also serious points behind the laughs. And
Thank you, both of you, for this. Thank you for volunteering. So we'll talk about the interviews. First of all, how to select the topic for your interview. Choosing the topic must be relevant to your audience. Again, you have to know your audience. The topic should be timely and relevant to people. The topic should be meaningful to your audience. So you respect their time and their effort in reading your interview after it's published online. Look for a gap in the internet or in the media. So you are trying to fill the gap. You don't have to talk about wide or publicly discussed topics, because actually people can access these topics or interviews elsewhere. Second thing, how to write the questions that you think about unanswered questions usually. What is missing in other media outlets? Like if you are a blind person, you can focus on issues related to access, inclusion, lived experience of people with visual impairment, something related to policy making or something like that. The second question you have to ask about is how to select the interviewee, the person who you will interview. You have to choose someone who has first-hand knowledge on the topic. Might be expert or the official that's engaged or has a lot of information about your topic. So usually, like, I will give you an example. Like, if we are talking about a policy related to blind people in terms of, like, for example, transportation, who is the person that you will conduct interview with? This is a question for you in the UK.
What was the example again? To do transportation, you said?
yeah, if it is like a new policy that affects visually impaired people in the UK,
Well,
what
it
would
could
be the most
suppose could be a minister for transport. So if it's somewhere in London, it could be the if it's in London, if it's depends whether if it's a national one, I suppose it'd be a minister for transport or something like that, or something like that. Yeah. I thought if
yeah.
it like or if it's London, it might be something like transport for someone from Transport for London. But that depends whether it's a nationwide policy.
That's a good point because as you mentioned, you don't have to interview the minister for everything because if you and like if we all go to do interview with the minister, he will not have time to do his job. So think about who is the most important person. It not be the minister for all time because might be someone who is like is not known and is not a famous person would have more information than the minister himself. So think about this. Choosing the right person is the most important thing to make your interview successful and will help you to gather information that you want to talk about. The third question is how to research before conducting the interview. I'm talking about here about researching your topic and also doing research about the person who you will interview. So you have to read background
The audio now on mute.
information. You have to read articles written about this topic, reports, statistics, or official statements. You have to look up any previous interviews done with the person you will interview, and why this because this is important to try to be innovative, not to repeat other questions that answered before, you know, and also to know more about this person. And this is important tip here. You have to know the personality. If this person is talkative or don't like to talk to the media, hesitant or approachable, you have to know everything about him or her. So this, you have to do study, if you like, about this, like to meet with the people who are in interacting with him every day. The next question, choosing how to choose the place and time to do interview. Someone would ask me, really, it's matter to choose the time and the place for interview? Yes, it's important because sometimes you have to do interview in the person's home or in his or her office or outside the office. Like I'm like a minister or I have a lot of work to do. So it's not recommendable to do it in his office or her office. So think about these questions, how to use the most suitable place and most appropriate time. The place should be quiet, comfortable, and accessible. And think about the accessibility because most of us are visually impaired, so you have to think about this. Avoid noisy public places because this will affect the recording of the interview. The agreement on the time and the place of the interview should be from you and your interviewee. Like, you don't have to say, hey guys, I want to do interview with you and I choose this time and this place. No, you need him or her. So you have to think about this. About disclosing your disability here, I would tell you, you don't have to be shy. If the place is not accessible for you, tell him or her that fact. The next question, how to prepare the interview guide. And the interview guide should be written before the interview. And this guide have a list of the questions that you want to ask to this person. And the questions should be clear, should be direct, should be well organized, should be simple. Like one of the trainees today asked me complex question by asking a lot of questions in the same question. So just give your interviewee one set of one question and next one and next and next and next. Group the questions by theme. This will give you a logical organization of your interview. Also add background information, and this will direct you to the last or the previous step. If you've done good research of your topic, you will come up with deep and very relevant and effective questions. The next question is how to conduct the interview. I will ask you to start with easy questions, not difficult one. Like if you have a sensitive topic, for example, if you are discussing the funding cuts, you don't have to start with this point because you are trying to build a rapport. The rapport means that the relationship between you, the interviewee, because if you build this trust with him or with her, they will open up and will give you a lot of information. Also, it's important to have a few follow-up or prompts questions, and that's where the person who interviewed our volunteer today has done so, because she asked about the play that he is writing, and this is based on his answer. So this means that your interview guide is not something that you have to ask and that's it. No, you have to have flexibility to be ready for asking follow-up questions. Like, can you explain this more? Can you give us example? This is important. Also, it's important for us to ask sometimes the interviewee to give you personal background. Also, it's important to watch the reactions of the interviewee. Like For us, if you are blind, you would say, no, I can't see the facial expressions. No, it's not only a visual thing, like it's also about the smile. If he smiles or become angry or so and so. So it's important to watch his or her reactions. Still, we are talking about how to conduct the interview. So you have to pay her or him your attention. They like saying, yes, okay, to show them that that you are interested in the things that you are listening to. Also, don't try to know the time, because this gives the interviewee the message that you get bored from his talks and so and so. One important thing that you don't have to interrupt the person that you are talking to. So listen carefully to what he is talking about, and as I mentioned, you be energetic and be alert to what he is talking about. Last thing is talking about how to record the interview. So we have two methods. The first method is using recorder or your mobile or your cell phone to record the interview verbally. And at that point, you have to get the permission from this person to follow the ethics of journalism. You don't have to, or you are not allowed to hide these devices. This is very important because you can come back to your office and transcribe all the files, but you have to check your devices before going to the interview. Check your battery and your devices and make sure that are working well. Another method is taking notes. And taking notes is a good way because it keeps you engaged and focused when you are writing some notes from your interviewee. And this strategy allows you to raise a lot of questions. I'm talking about probing questions. After finishing your interview, you should thank the interviewee for his or her time. You might give them the opportunity to read, if you are writing the answers, to read their answers, because they might ask you not to publish this or not to talk about this, or to correct some incorrect information provided during the interview. And at the end of the interview, you thank him or her for her time. Writing the interview, you start by transcribing the file. If you recorded the interview, or you have to edit the interview by focusing on the most important information given, because you might do the interview like in 1 hour or 2 hours or so and so, but you don't have to share all of this information with your audience. You focus on the most important set of information. And at the end of writing the interview, you write the headline. So in interviews or in many types of media forms, we write the headline at the end of writing the topic or the theme. So it's important to know that. So the headline is the first thing that the readers read, and this is it is the last thing that the writer writes. So does anyone have any question about the interviews?
Just because we are running out of time, we only have time for one question, maybe.
Do you mind if I slightly? You talked about the planning the questions in advance. I mean, I've done that. I said I have a journalism degree, and certainly in the early days I used to do that. The only trouble with that is it can impede spontaneity. I find it's easier just to make notes of bullet points of topics to be brought up, because otherwise it gets in the way of the kind of, like we had in a practice run where you just riffed on something. That can be quite useful. I wondered if you got thoughts on that. Have I misunderstood you when you were saying to write you appear to be suggesting writing the questions in full? The only other thing I'd say is it might be worth getting if you can get them, there are available a vibrating watch with a vibrating alarm, so that you know how much so that you can so that if you only know you've got 5 minutes left for your interviewer, then you can quickly wrap up. Then you get to the cut to quick, so you don't get cut short for time. I wonder if you got any thoughts.
Yeah, that's a good thing to talk about, and this is important. But as I mentioned to you, preparing the questions will save you time during interview. And I mentioned that it's flexible, so you can change things or add, modify based on the interview.
Can I add something to this as a documentary filmmaker who has done a lot of interviews? I never go into an interview situation without having interview questions written down. But at the same time, I've learned how to be spontaneous and react to the person. And most people, especially if you're a newcomer with interviews, it's very stressful to think on the spot. And also, it may undermine your professionalism if you can't find your question, if you think too much. So always have a list of questions, but be prepared to change your course of action and be spontaneous. Any other final questions, because we need to complete the session? Ibrahim, can you maybe say something very brief about consents, and if people have to sign any forms for their what they are saying to be in the public domain?
Yeah, that's an important point because consents are one of the tips for making sure that the interview is ethical. And also, this is a document for you. If the person changed his or her words, like, for example, you published your interview, and this sparked a lot of concerns publicly, and the person would say, no, I didn't say that at all. No. So the consent is very important, and also the recording these tools for you to keep you safe in the future.
Yes, I think that's a really important point. So whatever interviews you do with people and then it ends up in the public domain or shared with others, always ask them to sign a consent form for their interview. You can get consent forms online. You can get templates. If you Google, there are loads online, and you can just adapt them to your own needs. But whether they're doing it for a podcast or a news story or whatever, always make them sign consent forms. Okay, thank you so much, Ibrahim, for your time and for all the participants. Unfortunately, we are running out of time, but if there is enough interest, we may organize a follow-up session where we can go deeper into these kind of topics, please feel free to email me feedback about any potential interests or about the session itself. So thanks a lot, Ibrahim, for talking to us today. I know it's 2 hours late in Egypt, so it's early evening for you. And yeah, we'll be in touch for our next sessions. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your time, and thank you for